New London, Candiac County specifically. Thanks to Austin Fox for sending in these photos.
So then about 40 minutes away, this was in Litchfield. Some large hail hitting people there pretty hard. Thank you to Lisa Bonds for sending in this video. The radar estimates that the hail in some cases reached golf ball size.
In the city, same story. Police taped off an area near Roseville. This is near Fairview Avenue because of flash flooding. Police tell WCCO 3 cars stranded had to be towed. One person had to be rescued by firefighters. The road has since reopened for drivers.
And now let's take you out to Fridley. This is a picture of a Target. Yeah, you can see tons of water just pouring off of the roof there. We learned that the power went out there. Their coolers did as well, but not the registers. You can just see a lot of water coming down yesterday.
We got another round of storms expected to move in. Let's go ahead and check in with Joseph Dames, tracking the timing of it all. A lot to get to this morning, Joseph.
Yeah, a lot to get to. I don't think those storms are really going to develop until later tonight. So as we mentioned earlier, I mean, a lot of folks this morning dealing with storm, just picking up the pieces from the storms through the weekend. So kind of just recovery there. Storm reports of the last 24 hours. I mean, a lot of action out west. I mean, this is what we saw a lot of the videos that you sent on in. So thanks for sending those videos in. It helps tell the weather story. It helped us out a lot yesterday and this morning. And then we've had a cluster of reports even near the metro area. Mentioned flooding. We had flooding over towards Roseville. You saw that Target video. I mean, it was coming down in some spots. Those storms moved through in the evening. Some of you had damaging hail that was out towards Plymouth and Golden Valley. Those locations there. We had flooding, wind damage. I mean, it was just a doozy yesterday evening. I can report this now. This morning, we are totally in the clear. We did have some rain through the overnight, and many of you had like an inch to inch and a half. We had a lot of reports this morning, specifically Hennepin County and to the south. It was really, seemed like a really heavy night of rain. Clouds now departing. In fact, you'll just get some sunshine. And throughout the day today, it's actually just going to be mainly dry and it's going to be hot. I mean, I have temperatures picking right back on up. So usually we'd probably just go with a red tower for today because of the heat. But I'm more concerned about our second line of storms, which will arrive late tonight as storms develop later today. So headlines, we're good now. We're good this afternoon. Just have to worry about the heat and the humidity around here. We have another round of storms that I'm expecting tonight again, probably after sunset for the cities, and then followed by cooler and less humidity in the forecast, which is good. We're finally breaking that weather pattern. All the action starts to increase late tonight, 9, 10, 11 p.m. In fact, I want to show you in the forecast weather models. There's lunchtime. We are good. In fact, 5 p.m., 6 p.m. still looks good. Here's 10 p.m. tonight. You can see a line of storms developing up to the northwest, eventually peeling through the area. Probably midnight, 1, 2 a.m. in some cases for southeast Minnesota, and then we are good. I want to talk about what we can get out of those severe storms late tonight if they do end up at that level of intensity. And I want to show you the rest of the week because there's some good news in the weather forecast as well. So I'll break that down coming up at 7:30.
All right, we'll check back in. Joseph, thank you. We do want to continue our team coverage this morning with Barrett Leone. She's live in Robbinsdale where you have seen some damage out there, Barrett.
We sure have. This whole street has really been beat up a little bit from the storm. I want you to check out this tree behind me, this home. You can see it's completely just uprooted, hitting this home. And actually, I'm joined here this morning by the owner of this home. So this is Molly Nicholson. She lives right behind here. Thanks for joining us, Molly. I'm really sorry. I mean, did you hear anything? What happened?
We were in our front sunroom and the wind just started picking up, and all of a sudden, I mean, as fast as you could blink, it was just a blur of green wall of fuzz, it looked like, and it just picked up, and my husband heard it hit the house. I was just too scared, and the dog was scared, so we picked up the dog, ran to the basement, but it went on for quite a while, the wind, and because you could see from our basement out the back door. So it's very scary.
Very scary. And you were telling me that you think it hit, where your walk-in closet is. So tell me what the deal is there.
Yeah, so it's a full 2-story house, but the front looks like a half-story with a dormer in the back. And my walk-in closet is where the tree is landed on. Okay. And I walked in this morning to check, and there it says, I think there's a crack through there. I didn't normally analyze my closet ceiling before, so noticing things now maybe I hadn't noticed before.
So gosh, I'm so sorry. We've seen a lot of neighbors, it's kind of coming and taking pictures. Have you been able to check out at all what else is going on this street?
Yeah, especially on 39th here. It seems like something must have come right through this area because it's most damaged, I think, on 39th. But yeah, our neighbors are wonderful, and they've just all come out and helped and raked. We had another tree in the back boulevard come down as well, or branches, and they've just all been wonderful. But it's surreal.
Yeah, I imagine this is going to be a big cleanup job.
Luckily I work at home and I can be here to manage things, and I'll be calling the tree company this morning and probably insurance company as well.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the tree, it's huge. Yeah. I mean, you can see the root of the tree is just out. I mean, when you see that, does that talk about the power of this storm?
I mean, like I said, it came up so quickly that we shouldn't have been in the front, knowing what was coming. We shouldn't have been in the front room. But yeah, I mean, we've been talking about getting it trimmed more and more, and I guess we're getting it trimmed now. Yeah, so yeah, it's a sad loss because it provides a lot of shade.
Yeah. And you right now do have power.
We do, yes. We never lost power, and people on our block here immediately never lost power that I know of.
Okay. Thank you so much, Molly, and good luck. I know not what you want to wake up to.
No, not at all, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yes, and so Molly has power right now, but that's not the story for everyone here in Robbinsdale. At last check, more than 900 people without power, and we're actually hearing that it might take days to restore power in some parts of the state. That's according to Xcel Energy. And I actually want to pull up the map here because really the outages are statewide. At last check, the map is showing 36,000 customers without power across the state. For the greater metro area, it means there are more than 1,300 outages, more than 33,000 customers impacted. And again, some neighbors won't have power back until Wednesday. That's places like Robbinsdale, that's places like Edina, Lakeville, St. Louis Park, Inver Grove Heights, Crystal. I mean, a lot of areas impacted and taking a while to get power back on. And Xcel Energy, they're telling us that crews are in the field working to restore power as quickly, as safely as possible, but they're navigating challenging conditions. And we can guess that navigating these challenging conditions, that's the heat, the humidity that we're going to be seeing again today. And, Molly just mentioned too, another round of storms tonight. So preparing for that and working through that as best as they can is what crews say that they're doing right now.
Yeah. This is one of those times when I actually hope that they are wrong. I hope that crews are wrong, and I hope that they get power stored much,
I mean, they give you the
faster.
later times. Hopefully it's before then because it's just so hot. But I'm also thankful Molly and her family are okay. I mean, that really could have gone a different way there.
Right.
And not only that, but you think about, we talk about the power outages, but you think of those old trees that are there, and the ground was so saturated so fast, topples them over just like that. So, our Barrett Leone with that live report. Minneapolis, Robbinsdale area. Barrett, we appreciate it. Thanks.
Let's take a look now at your next drive. We're going to give you an update here on what's going on in Owatonna. So this is Highway 14 eastbound. It is closed there. We understand now, MnDOT telling us, or State Patrol telling us, I should say, that this is a fatal crash. This is a crash involving a tractor trailer and an individual passenger car. Tractor trailer driver is said to be okay, but it's the person in the car that has passed away. So we'll keep an eye on this for you. But again, 14 eastbound in Owatonna continues to be closed as they investigate and reconstruct that crash. Across the metro, though, things are looking really good. We're seeing a lot of green out there on this map. No major problems actually in the metro here. Nothing really that is going to slow you down except for this. Let's take you out to 394. You can see the middle lanes right in there. Those are the HOV lanes. So those are now closed actually through November. MnDOT telling us this is going to create some major backups here. Traffic moving along really nicely right now, but we'll keep an eye on this one for you throughout the morning.
Safety at the state capitol again in the spotlight after a security breach over the weekend. State Patrol says they found a naked man inside the Minnesota Senate chamber just before midnight Friday. He went to Regents for a mental health evaluation. He returned twice on Saturday before being arrested. He's currently in the Ramsey County Jail. House Speaker Lisa Damuth released a statement after the incident saying in part, quote, anyone who trespasses in any building, let alone the state capitol, should be arrested and prosecuted for breaking the law. And I look forward to learning why this did not take place in this highly disturbing incident, end quote. Two recent campaign upsets, one of them local, are raising questions about the future of the Democratic Party.
So Minnesota State Senator and Democratic Socialist Omar Fateh, he defeated two-term incumbent Mayor Jacob Frey for the Minneapolis DFL party endorsement. This is for the mayor's spot. And then you go to New York City. That's there on the right of your screen. Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani, he beat former Governor Andrew Cuomo in the Democratic primary for mayor there in the Big Apple. But what is a Democratic Socialist?
Our Esme Murphy invited Professor David Schultz to join her on WCCO Weekend Mornings to explain.
The simplest way of describing it, they have significant criticisms of capitalism or believe that capitalism isn't working for the majority of the people and would like to come up with a different economic system.
So Professor Schultz says that the Democratic Party, I should say, is seeing a shift, especially along generational lines. He says the party has been losing popularity in recent years. He says that's partially because the younger generation has an increasingly favorable view of socialism, with a more negative opinion of capitalism. This is compared to older generations. Schultz attributing that to affordability issues like rising housing and medical costs, as well as student loans.
For those people who are the baby boom generation, the system worked fairly well and delivered the goods. But if you look at polling right now for people under the age of 30, 35, about half of them are saying, well, they have a favorable view of socialism because why? They're looking at capitalism not delivering for them.
Mayor Jacob Frey has filed a protest with the state DFL party, citing voting discrepancies. He has been elected mayor twice before without that DFL Minneapolis endorsement.
Well, the summer months traditionally bring a rise in crime. This year, both the cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul are continuing to experience significant drops in violent crime. So why don't many of us feel safer? Here's Esme Murphy with Sunday's Talking Points.
Crime is still a big problem in the Twin Cities. Each incident brings with it lasting fear and pain to those victimized. But something has been happening this year. Crime in St. Paul and Minneapolis is down. St. Paul has shown a drop in homicides, assaults, and shots fired. So too is Minneapolis. Murders are down, assaults are down, and shots fired are also down. And so are other categories in both cities. Car thefts and burglaries also down. So what's happening? Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara was a guest on WCCO Sunday Morning at 10:30 a.m.
Well, I don't think it's any one thing that we're doing. It's a number of strategies that have been working in partnership with a lot of different law enforcement agencies as well as community-based organizations. And I think some of the most significant statistics are the fact that the number of shooting victims year to date is actually below what it was at this point in 2019.
For many people, the fear of crime still looms, and for those victims, there is no solace that others perhaps are being spared.
Well, I think a lot of people coming from out of state and other parts of the state come into downtown or come into other parts of the city, and they see people who are either homeless or suffering from addiction on the street. And I think that gives the perception that it is dangerous when in fact those folks are not.
Minneapolis police are also continuing to recover from the loss of hundreds of officers after the murder of George Floyd. In the summer of 2024, the city gave officers a raise of 22% over the next 3 years. That has helped with recruitment and retention, with starting officers earning $65,000 a year and the average salary now at above $90,000. Last month, for the first time since 2023, the Minneapolis police had topped more than 600 officers. Esme Murphy, WCCO News.
Another summer day, another start of a road construction project.
And drivers are bracing for even more congestion as another construction project heats up right here in the metro.
And parents of teenagers who are looking to get their driver's license, you're going to want to hear this one. We'll tell you about the fines they will now face if they make an appointment and then don't show up. Take a look at your next drive now. I can take you back down to Owatonna. So this again, Highway 14 eastbound is closed right now. Traffic being diverted off here at County Road 6. That's because of a fatal crash earlier this morning. So crews are out there have to reconstruct the scene in that spot. We'll keep an eye on this for you throughout the day, but I just want to let you know that across the metro, things are looking really good. We're not seeing any major crashes up here in town. Nothing really big to slow you down. We do, though, have some construction projects there to share with you this morning. As you know, construction season is the summer here in Minnesota, and it is now official. I-394 down a lane. That is because the easy pass lanes are closed in both directions. So this is between downtown Minneapolis, right there at 94, and Highway 100 out in Golden Valley. MnDOT says expect delays. This is going to go through November. WCCO's Mariel Mose checked in with commuters.
It's actually terrible for people who just to commute. It's already bad and really rush hour.
Drivers are frustrated with another big interstate closure that will impact a lot of people commuting between St. Louis Park and downtown on 394, like Jamal Olben.
I use it a lot, really when the 169 is packed, so I use it for a diversion to get over to 94. And if it's going to be I'll be impacted really bad trying to get home.
Usually these major closures happen in the overnight hours when fewer people are on the roads, but not this time. This closure of the Easy Pass lanes in both directions will be enforced at all hours of the day until November.
Oh, no, that's no good. No good.
MnDOT says this is all part of a larger 2-year plan to repair 34 bridges between Interstates 394 and 94. And they also say during the next 4 months, keep in mind there will be some overnight lane closures on this stretch as well. If it feels like a lot, it's because it is. MnDOT currently has 46 construction projects happening in the Twin Cities metro right now, including this one.
From our house to get to St. Paul, I allow about 3.5 hours depending on the time of the day.
Jeff Zuckerman lives in Bryn Mawr off the Penn Avenue exit in the heart of this closure.
Yeah, we're kind of screwed.
Drivers will certainly have to pack more patience on the roads until the snow flies again.
You just got to deal with it. I mean, whatever. Presumably they're doing it to fix the roads for another 5 or 10 years, and they can't do any work in the winter, so.
In St. Louis Park.
There's nothing I can do about it, so, you know, my patience tested every day. It's the heat right now testing my patience. So.
Mariel Mose, WCCO News.
I get it, though. I get it. It's all testing your patience. Got to play the long game there. Let's talk about talking points. Earlier this month, Esme Murphy spoke with MnDOT about these construction projects. You can watch that full interview on our YouTube page. Search Talking Points, and she's got some good questions for them about why you always don't see people working there on the roads when you see all those cones. So if you have had to schedule a driver's test, let's say maybe for a teenager who's eager to get their license, you know how hard it is to get that appointment. Well, it turns out 1 in 5 of those road appointments, they go unused, those test appointments. So Driver and Vehicle Services says lots of people don't show up or they just cancel too late to reschedule. So starting August 1st, DVS will increase its late cancel and no-show fees. So if you cancel between 24 to 72 hours before your road test, you will be charged $20. If you cancel less than 24 hours or if you just don't show up for your test, they'll charge you $40. Minnesotans will need to be weather aware of dangerous heat and strong storms later on tonight. Joseph is here with your full weather forecast coming up. And trade war avoided. We're going to break down the details of the U.S. agreement with the European Union. A weekend takes a shocking turn. We'll tell you what led to a boat explosion out on a Minnesota lake and how that incident is reminding boat owners of their one critical responsibility.
You're watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
It is Monday morning, 7:26 now. Joseph live that next weather forecast coming up in just a minute. But first, happening today, the man who pleaded guilty to drunk driving into a Metro restaurant is scheduled to be sentenced. Police say 56-year-old Stephen Bailey plowed through the Park Tavern patio. This was in St. Louis Park. Last September, restaurant employee and mother of 3, Christina Folkerts, and Methodist Hospital worker Gabe Harvey died in that crash. More than a dozen others were also hurt. Charges show that Bailey was intoxicated at 4 times over the legal limit. He is scheduled to be sentenced at 1 this afternoon. He faces up to 30 years in prison. Let's take a look now at your next drive. Things looking really good out here in the Metro. No major crashes to report. Nothing major to slow you down. But I do want to remind you that those Easy Pass lanes on 394 between Minneapolis and Highway 100, they are closed. So expect traffic to be heavier this morning, both in and out of town. Joseph?
Hey, good morning to everyone. Happy Monday. I know we had the storms yesterday through the evening and kind of wrapped up the weekend kind of busy, but all is clear this morning, all right? It's going to be hot and it is going to be dry as we work through the day today, but we do have a green tower, which is an indication that there will be some rain. Now, it's not going to happen this afternoon, not even this evening. Temperatures pushing about 90 degrees, but tonight there is a chance for some severe weather beginning out west, moving through to the east as we go into the late hours tonight. I'll break down that forecast coming up at 7:30.
You're watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Next on WCCO Mornings, bracing for another round of severe storms tonight. Next, weather meteorologist Joseph Dames breaks down what you need to know to stay safe.
The funeral happening today for Bruce Anderson, the state senator who died unexpectedly last week.
An explosion at a marina in Wisconsin over the weekend. They're warning to other boaters.
And we are learning more about a new trade deal with the EU. What we know this morning.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us on this Monday. I'm AJ Hilton.
And I'm Heather Brown.
So a stormy night, we know, across the state for many. We actually have some new video coming into our newsroom from Delano, so you can get an idea just how strong these storms were, because in some parts of the state, a lot of people are waking up with a big cleanup today. We're talking down trees, down branches, scattered throughout.
So this powerful storm, this is a time-lapse video of how it blew through Minneapolis. Photojournalist Nick Boki grabbing it from our rooftop. This was between 8 and 9 o'clock last night. The wind gusts at that time reaching 55 miles an hour.
Tanner Talbot sent us this video shot from a car under a bridge near Carlson Parkway. We actually saw cars pulling under bridges to shelter from hail during the storms. Remember, this is not advised. The safest action to try to get off and away from the road.
And this morning, 33,000 Minnesotans are still without power as those storms are moving on through. Let's check in with next weather meteorologist Joseph Dames. Today is not a day that you're going to want to be without power. It's going to be another hot one. They don't have AC. They don't have lights. They don't have electricity. I mean, and for some communities, it could be until Wednesday that Excel says it's getting back on.
And we have another storm threat tonight that could bring in some, damaging wind, increasing more power outages. So today is definitely not a day that we don't want people that are just, out there without power. It's just going to be a very tough day. And so you're going to have to maybe find some alternative things to do to try to stay cool this afternoon. I want to go back. I want to show you the rain totals. Heavy rains yesterday. I mean, those storms, they were ripping through the state in the afternoon, evening. We had a lot of heat, which can hold a lot of moisture. And we saw some significant rain totals. In fact, Ted, one of our weather watchers out in Morris had over 5 inches of rain. He was reporting flooding in his area there in Morris. And that was one of the most significant locations across the state. And it wasn't very far, just to the north and northeast, where we had a report over in Garfield of just 1/10 of an inch of moisture there. So we had some significant rains, but most of that was south of 94. As you can see, that we even had some significant totals closer to Belle Plaine and locations nearby. Shoreview over an inch. Down towards Farmington, we had reports of about 2 inches to 1.5 inches. 2 inches there in Lakeville, Spring Lake Township over an inch. I mean, it was, one of the big talkers yesterday. But on top of it, we also had damaging hail. We had damaging wind. We had other flooding problems across the state. And tonight we may reload that again into the forecast. So just be prepared for it. Over at the airport, we had 1.5 inches. We're now above for the month over at the airport by about like 1.5 inches now. So it's been kind of wet and stormy over the last 2 weeks. And that was enough to catch us right back on up. All right, satellite radar this morning. Things are quiet. You can see clouds and rain and storms down to the southeast, over towards the northwest corner there of North Dakota there. Other than that, it is quiet and it will remain that way through the day. All right, I don't want to confuse anyone about the forecast this afternoon. You're going to be able to go through the day today and not have to worry about it. It's tonight when the storms are likely going to start to pick on up. So storm details. I am confident that we're going to have a lot of heat before storms develop later today, back into probably the upper 80s to lower 90s. I have storms developing in the evening out west, moving around here probably tonight. I'm thinking more so 10, 11 to midnight. And then all threats are possible as far as the storms go today. Damaging wind, hail, lightning, heavy rains, and even the possibility for a little bit of rotation in some of those storms tonight. Potential for severe storms in the metro area. All right? I'm expecting severe weather out west, but we may see severe storms here tonight as well. I believe a lot of this is going to happen after dark, so we may have after dark weather damage, more power outages late tonight, so that's a possibility, and that is never good. But it is also possible that those line of storms weaken a little bit as they approach us. That's why we're going with a next possible alert for tonight, because of all of that and that severe storm threat. All right, so just be ready for it. I think wind is going to be our greatest threat for today, specifically out west. All right, so think about yesterday's storm, but it might be more widespread across the state. You can see that damaging wind, very significant there out to the west, pushing into the cities for tonight. Let's go through the timing. I'm going to get you into the afternoon. You'll see that temperatures warm up. nothing is really occurring. There's 5. I mean, that's your evening commute. You probably have some plans this afternoon. Maybe you just want to run to the store. It's Monday, kind of get your groceries for the week. And I'm thinking that by the time we get to 5, 6, 7 p.m., there's still nothing really going on. But I do think about 7, 8 p.m., we start noticing some strong to powerful storms out west. Those will kind of grow in intensity. And as we head into tonight, anywhere from about 9 to 10 to midnight, maybe even as late as about 1 to 2 a.m., we could potentially see that strong line of storm action moving on through, and it may be severe. So you're going to have to keep it with us as we go into tonight. Tuesday's pretty good. In fact, temperatures come down a little bit, which is a nice relief because it's been very hot and humid. We do have a threat for maybe a couple isolated storms late Tuesday night. Once we get through that, we have some beautiful weather coming up. Next 48 hours, though, it's going to be busy, and you can see those highest rain totals likely again southwest of 94 with lower totals up north. 90 today to 84 tomorrow, 80 degrees on Wednesday. And then check this out, Heather. We have 79 on Thursday, 80 on Friday, 79 on Saturday. Beautiful weather. We're finally changing the pattern up, but we have at least one more day of storms and heat in the forecast.
Those look just about perfect. Joseph, thank you. Let's take a look now at your next drive. Things are starting to pick up a bit on this Monday morning here. Some of those spots that we have construction and we know that are busier are starting to turn into the red, but no major crashes, nothing major that's going to slow you down. But I do want to take you out to 394 because this is the first day of those HOV lanes between Highway 100 and downtown Minneapolis being closed. So all of that traffic that had been on the HOV lanes is now going to go into the regular lanes. So you can see traffic coming into town. Always in the mornings, the HOV lanes come into town. Traffic coming into town, it's always busy this time of morning, but MnDOT says expect it to be even busier. And then the opposite is true when the lanes switch in the afternoon. So just be aware of this. This is expected to go through November, and today is day 1.
Today, Minnesota lawmakers will come together. This is to celebrate the life of one of their own. State Senator Bruce Anderson died unexpectedly 1 week ago. At the age of 75, Anderson had given a lot to his country and community. He served as a Navy veteran. He served during Vietnam and went on to serve 30 years in the state legislature. His funeral service is today at 3 p.m. in Buffalo. You can watch a live stream at buffalocov.org.
Now to a dramatic scene on the water. This is a boat. Exploded at a marina in Pierce County, Wisconsin. According to officials, several people had to go to the hospital. Investigators are also sharing with us that the explosion happened on a fuel dock.
As WCCO's Jonah Kaplan explains, the incident is a reminder about one critical responsibility for boat owners.
The harbor sits right where the St. Croix and Mississippi rivers meet, and it was packed on this sunny summer Saturday. Steve Schiller said the explosion sounded like gunfire. This is video he took from a few hundred yards away.
We were sitting on the back of the boat and heard a loud bang, looked over, and next thing you know, the boat's smoldering and people are jumping off the back of the boat, and all of a sudden, within 5 minutes, it turned into big flames.
According to investigators, the explosion may have ejected some people off the boat, while others swam to the dock. Police said multiple individuals were taken to the hospital, some by ambulance, others in their own cars.
You just pray for the people and hope everything's okay. We're all boaters and we all want everybody to be the best.
To give you a little perspective, this here is about a 30-foot boat, and witnesses tell us the one that was on fire, it was actually bigger than this. And as frightening as the situation as it was, it could have been so much worse if not for the quick thinking of one of the marina managers.
Got her sprayed down and stopped that one from bursting in flames.
Colton Anderson, who runs Leo's Landing, jumped in his boat to push the smoldering vessel away from all the others.
The other boat that's down there, it melted the canvas. It was getting ready to burn the other boat. Then another boat would have burned that wasn't part of it. So that's what we were really trying to save, and the dock was on fire too.
The cause of the blast is still under investigation, but Anderson warned the incident is a critical reminder for boat operators to always run the blowers before starting the engine.
Blower takes the gas fumes out of the bilge, so when you got the blowers on, it's supposed to let the fumes out. But if you have like a leaking fuel system or something wrong and you got a spark and you hit the key and it's hot, you can have an ignition source and then bam.
In Prescott, Jonah Kaplan, WCCO News.
As of last night, officials said they were unsure of the conditions of those taken to the hospital. The Wisconsin DNR is leading that investigation.
Developing this morning in Michigan, at least 11 people were treated at a hospital. This after a mass stabbing on Saturday at a Walmart in Traverse City. The Grand Traverse County Sheriff's Office says it appears that the victims were attacked at random. One suspect is in custody, was not injured. Law enforcement say that they have the knife that they believe was used in the attacks, and they say that it's a folding knife. No word on a possible motive. Hospital officials say as of Saturday night, 6 victims were in critical condition, 5 were in serious.
President Trump announced a trade deal with the European Union while visiting Scotland.
CBS News' Bradley Blackburn tells us how the agreement could avert a trade war with the U.S.'s largest trading partner.
We've reached a deal.
In a down-to-the-wire negotiation, President Donald Trump announced a new trade agreement with the EU, setting a 15% tariff on most European imports.
I think this deal will bring us very close together, actually. It's a partnership in a sense.
The new rate is lower than the 30% tariff that was set to take effect Friday, but far higher than rates before Trump took office. The president announced the deal at his Turnberry Golf Resort in Scotland, where he was joined by the president of the EU.
It's a huge deal. It will bring stability. It will bring predictability. That's very important for our businesses on both sides of the Atlantic.
The EU has also agreed to purchase U.S. military equipment, as well as $750 billion of U.S. energy, and to invest $600 billion in other sectors.
We have the opening up of all of the European countries.
Although the deal was framed as a victory for the U.S., it could still raise prices for consumers. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
It's almost time for a little Monday motivation.
Meet the young Shorewood girl who isn't letting a rare brain condition keep her down.
And beating the heat, still to come, how you can escape the rising temperatures in the Twin Cities today.
A dose of inspiration for your Monday as one young Shorewood girl is teaching those around her all about resilience. Susan Elizabeth Littlefield is here with a look at how one cold changed her and her family's lives forever.
Good morning. I continue to be motivated by people and their resilience. Sydney is the perfect example, along with her parents. Our Barrett Leone and Nick Luneman first learned about her rare story. Sydney went to bed one night with a run-of-the-mill runny nose, and the next morning she was unresponsive when her parents found her. It turns out she had a condition called cerebellitis.
It's extremely rare. I mean, there some case reports that will talk about it being 1 in 500,000 and even 1 in a million. It's extremely rare.
Sydney had to relearn everything.
From a neurosurgical perspective, she's 100%. And like, that's the emotional piece, right? Like, we're incredibly lucky to be in this situation.
I think she's going to have a bright future.
Giving people hope is something you don't have the opportunity to do a lot, and in those darkest moments is what really pushes you through and really gets you through and helps you fight for your child, right? And if we can provide that, I mean, we will do it all day long.
As you can see, Sydney is thriving. Resilience and hope embodied. Enjoy today, friends.
That's great motivation, Susan Elizabeth. Thank you. So last week, how about the Milwaukee County Zoo? They announced the names chosen for 2 adorable male monkeys born at the facility. So the zoo said on X that the little primates, both born in June, have been named Chihiro and Kenji. According to the zoo, Kenji is named after a famous Japanese anthropologist, while the other baby's name means 1,000 fields. The arrival of the 2 babies brought the troop's population to 12. They are cute. Well, the unbearable heat we saw over the weekend, we know it is continuing today with the heat advisory, probably looking for any way to escape the stickiness, right? Well, yesterday we saw Twin Cities families flocking to the beaches, flocking to the pools. If you do need other places to try to escape the heat, we do have links to cooling center locations. You can find those at WCCO.com. And as we deal with the heat, areas across the country, unfortunately, underwater. Saturday, heavy rainfall triggered widespread flooding down south in spots like Missouri. That prompted the National Weather Service to issue an urgent flash flooding alert. I mean, take a look at the water. I mean, creeping up there. Not what you want to see. People wading through the waters in the middle of the road here. Despite how bad this looks, fortunately, no one has been reported hurt, which is definitely great news when you see that footage. And also, it's been nearly a month of healing for the state of Texas ever since that devastating July 4th flood. And now victims are getting help from a celebrity. Texas native country music singer George Strait. He held a benefit concert just yesterday to help people impacted. In a social media post, Strait said the goal of the concert is to raise, quote, meaningful, immediate support that can be put directly into the hands of flood victims. He said the show will also honor the first responders who work tirelessly to save lives. That's definitely good news for down in Texas. That recovery, it continues. Well, right now, let's focus on what's happening in Minnesota and the metro areas. You see that next weather tower, it's glowing green, not a cloud in the sky. Let's check in with next weather meteorologist Joseph Dames.
Well, good morning to everyone and happy Monday. We had a stormy finish to the weekend, but everything is good as we kind of kick off our Monday and get into the afternoon. I'll say this, it's going to be hot and it's going to be humid, and then prepare for the chance for strong to severe weather late tonight. You can see these pillars here as we go into late hours. I think we can see some strong storms developing anywhere from about 9 to 10 p.m. That's why we have a next possible alert for tonight.
All right, Joseph, know you're going to keep on top of that, keeping us informed. Let's also take a look at what is happening on our roads in your next drive. Only one incident we're following. This is going to be over in the White Bear Lake area. It looks like we got a car that's on fire, and it looks like that situation has since alleviated itself, which is great news. Just a few minutes ago, we saw that car fire, but it looks like the fire trucks, they have left, but that crash, I should say fire, it was on 694 westbound at Labor Road, but again, clear roads. That's definitely great news update on this Monday. Well, as always, we work to keep you up to date with the latest news, the latest weather developments happening all day on the stream. That includes something happening today. The man who pleaded guilty to driving drunk into a Metro restaurant is scheduled to be sentenced. Police say 56-year-old Stephen Bailey, he plowed through the Park Tavern patio in St. Louis Park last September. Restaurant employee and mother of 3, Christina Folkerts, and Methodist hospital worker Gabe Harvey, who you see here, they both died in that crash. More than a dozen others were hurt. Charges show Bailey was intoxicated at 4 times over the legal limit. He's set to be sentenced this afternoon at 1 p.m. and faces up to 30 years in prison. We'll be back with more news headlines after we take a quick break.
You're watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm AJ Hilton. We'll check in with Joseph Dames, keeping tabs on your next weather forecast in just a second. I want to start with this. The highly publicized Real ID deadline that has passed. That was back in May. The problem is the system remains stuck, and for thousands of Minnesotans, the wait is far from over. We've learned delays are dragging past 90 days. State officials say they understand the frustration. It leads to one thing: too many applications, not enough help. April saw more than 100,000 people submitting applications. May saw more than 76,000. The logjam, there are only 24 statewide workers handling those applications, so you could be waiting for quite some time. Let's take a look at your next drive. We have had something that's popped up, a stalled vehicle in of worse places. This is on 35W northbound at 50th Street. You see that electronic billboard saying stalled lane closed? Well, yeah, you see it right there. Traffic having to get by. So this just popped up. It is not going to show up on the traffic map necessarily right now, but I just want to reassure you, things do look okay in your next drive. Otherwise, Joseph Dames, not the case when it comes to the forecast today.
Yeah, forecast later tonight. I mean, it's going to get bumpy again this morning, though. You're good. You don't have anything to worry about. It's going to be dry, and it's only going to be humid and warm. Now, humidity is going to increase today, so is the heat, and so is our chances for some showers and storms. Now, you'll see nothing this afternoon, early evening, but it changes tonight. I'll have updates on when at CBS News Minnesota.
You're watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Next on WCCO Morning, severe storms leaving thousands without power in the metro. Which neighborhoods are still in the dark and when the lights will come back on.
Then the man who drove into Park Tavern's patio last fall will learn his fate today.
Plus, a look at security at the state capitol, the rising concern after a man trespassed into the Senate chambers 3 times over the weekend.
And later, ID delays, why some Minnesota residents will have to wait months just to get their real ID. Hey, good morning. Welcome to WCCO Mornings. We're live on our free streaming channel each weekday right here on CBS News Minnesota. I'm AJ Hilton.
And I'm Heather Brown. We want to get straight to your top headlines this morning.
Tell you what, wicked winds. They toppled some pretty big trees west of the cities. This is in New London and Candy, Ojai County. Thanks to Austin Fox for sending in these photos.
And 40 minutes away, sticking out to the town of Litchfield, you can see large hail hitting the people out there. Thank you to Lisa Bonds for sending this video in. The radar estimates that some of the hail reached golf ball size.
In the cities, police taped off an area in Roseville. This is near Fairview Avenue because of flash flooding. Police told WCCO 3 cars ended up stranded. They had to be towed. 1 person had to be rescued by firefighters. That road since reopened for drivers.
And now to Fridley. This is a Target. And that is a waterfall going over the Target there. Lots of water pouring off of the roof. We learned that Target, the power went out. Their coolers did as well, but the registers did not. And this morning, thousands still without power after the storms moved through. Our Barrett Leone has more from Robbinsdale, where she spoke with one homeowner who had a massive tree fall on her house.
This whole street has really been beat up a little bit from the storm. I want you to check out this tree behind me, this home. You can see it's completely just uprooted, hitting this home. And actually, I'm joined here this morning by the owner of this home. This is Molly Nicholson. She lives right behind here. Thanks for joining us, Molly. I'm really sorry. I mean, did you hear anything? What happened?
Well, we were in our front sunroom and the wind just started picking up, and all of a sudden, I mean, as fast as you could blink, it was just a blur of green wall of fuzz, it looked like, and it just picked up, and my husband heard it hit the house. I was just too scared, and the dog was scared, so we picked up the dog, ran to the basement, but it went on for quite a while, the wind, and because you could see from our basement out the back door. Yeah, so it's very scary.
We've seen a lot of neighbors, you know, it's kind of coming and taking pictures. Have you been able to check out at all what else is going on this street?
Yeah, especially on 39th here. It seems like something must have come right through this area because it's most damage, I think, on 39th. But yeah, our neighbors are wonderful, and they've just all come out and helped and raked. We had another tree in the back, boulevard come down as well, or branches, and they've just all been wonderful. But it's surreal. And like I said, it came up so quickly that we shouldn't have been in the front, knowing what was coming. We shouldn't have been in the front room. But yeah, I mean, we've been talking about getting it trimmed more and more, and I guess we're getting it trimmed now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a sad loss because it provides a lot of shade.
And unfortunately, we do have another round of storms moving in later today, so we do need to check in with next weather meteorologist Joseph Dames, because Joseph, based on this picture, not a cloud in the sky, but we saw that next weather tower, it's glowing green. It sounds like this could be a little bit of a repeat compared to yesterday, a little bit?
As far as the chance for severe weather goes, but not a repeat as far as the timing goes. And I think that's very important because yesterday afternoon and heading into the evening time frame, we were tracking those storms already. We already had multiple warnings. This is actually our storm reports from yesterday. Just a cluster of different types of alerts out west between tornado warnings. We had hail damage, flooding around here. We also had our fair share of some storm damage as well. And we had multiple videos that you guys shared with us. Now, the difference as far as the severe threat for today goes is the fact that it's going to be more so late tonight. I'm going to tell you more about that here in just 1 second. This is one of the reports over the last 24 hours over in Roseville there, where cars were stalled in flooding on Highway 36, and specifically under a bridge, where we also had multiple reports of people, going underneath bridges to avoid hail yesterday. Not what you want to do. All right, that's not advised. You really want to find a sturdy shelter. You want to take your car maybe to a gas station, something like that, or just prepare for the storms ahead of time. You just have to be very careful when you're out there because low visibility of rain and bridges are not sturdy structures. You do not want to gather underneath them. Right now, it's good. You saw that live view. Beautiful blue skies, and we're going to keep it nice and dry as we go through the day today. Still going to be developing some heat. Heat alerts down to the south. This is where we'll see the highest heat indices, meaning that the humidity is going to be a little bit higher. It's going to feel even warmer, and it'll be more tough to actually cool down. Though no heat alerts in the cities, still likely going to be very hot around here. Got another view outside. Next weather tower is green because of our chance for storms. So we're good this morning. We're going to be good this afternoon. And for the most part, this evening is going to be nice and dry. But I have another round of storms moving in tonight, probably after sunset around here, followed by some cooler air and less humidity, which will be a welcome sight for us because it's been very hot and humid recently. All right, so this is how the day kind of plays out. You can see those red kind of beams coming up here, those pillars indicating a chance for some storms late tonight and then potentially through the overnight hours as well. I'm going to use a forecast weather model. This has been kind of adjusting through the overnight and this morning, but I think this one's doing a pretty good job with how things will play out. Notice by lunchtime, there's really no signs of storms. Even by the time we get to about 5 or 6, 7 p.m., only maybe a few storms out west. It's probably not till about 7 to 9 p.m. where we really start seeing these storms develop, spreading down to the southeast as we go into the late hours, clearing out by Tuesday morning. Now we could see a little bit of everything as we go into those storms tonight, but I think damaging wind and then, of course, hail and heavy rains will be our greatest concerns. Now, severe weather outlook, as we take a look at this, that's a 4 or 5. Moderate risk out west, 2 or 5 risk around the cities, 1 or 5 on the fringe. It's going to be a sharp gradient from west to east. This is where the storms will form, and this is where they'll kind of wrap up late tonight into tomorrow. I want to go again through the timing. I'll do that at 8:30. I want to show what's coming up later this week because I have some good news as well, something to look forward to. So we'll discuss that at 8:30.
All right. Joseph, thank you. Let's take a look now at your next drive. Things are starting to get busy here on this Monday morning. I call this a typical Monday morning in the summertime because some of those spots where we see the construction, they are starting to pick up as well. Let's take you out to one of those, Eden Prairie. Highway 212, if you have been on this road, taking your morning commute, really any time of day, you know that this has been a big pain. But thankfully, this is coming to an end soon. All of you are in the home stretch. I believe this is amongst the last week of this happening here. So, but just, know that there's plenty of cars out there on the road, but thankfully no major crashes, nothing major that's going to slow you down. Do want to get to your other top headlines right now. Happening today, the man who pleaded guilty to driving drunk into a Metro restaurant is scheduled to be sentenced.
Police say 56-year-old Stephen Bailey plowed through the Park Tavern patio in St. Louis Park last September. Restaurant employee and mother of 3, Christina Folkerts, and Methodist hospital worker Gabe Harvey, who you both see here, they died in that crash. More than a dozen others were hurt. Charges show Bailey was intoxicated at 4 times over the legal limit. He's set to be sentenced this afternoon at 1 p.m. He faces up to 30 years in prison.
Now to the latest, as a man in Minneapolis was arrested for having a stolen government license plate. Minneapolis police say they were patrolling Glendale Avenue when they got the alert of the stolen plate. So they stopped the driver. They say they asked if he worked for the government. They say he responded by telling them that he was, quote, on a secret mission. According to authorities, the police decided to try to verify that statement. The man was taken into custody when they found out he was not a government worker.
New details as lawmakers, past and present, weighing in after authorities say a naked man entered the Senate chambers after hours. That man returned 2 more times to Capitol grounds before he was arrested. Our Jason Rantala spoke with a former GOP majority leader who says what he thinks needs to change.
A state trooper checks Capitol doors Sunday evening after authorities say a naked, nonviolent man somehow got inside the Senate chambers late Friday. The news comes just over a month after the assassination of House DFL leader Melissa Hortman and her husband, and the attempted assassination of DFL State Senator John Hoffman and his wife. Senate GOP leader Mark Johnson says he was disappointed to learn of the security breach. GOP House Speaker Lisa Damuth says, quote, "While I'm grateful the offender is in custody, it should not take 3 incidents in 24 hours to finally be booked. In this environment of heightened security, we need to be even more vigilant, not less." Just last week, WCCO learned the Minnesota Senate will now cover the cost for enhanced home security for lawmakers. A source says the Minnesota House is rolling out a similar policy.
Well, it's bizarre.
Former GOP Majority Leader Paul Gazelka says he'd like to see security checkpoints at the Capitol.
Virtually every courthouse has that, and so that would be, to me, the number one thing that you should do. The number of attacks, mostly verbally, against legislators here in Minnesota and nationwide has risen dramatically in the last 10 years.
In 2024, United States Capitol Police say there were more than 9,000 concerning statements or direct threats against members of Congress. That number more than doubled over the previous 7 years.
Gazelka says it's about striking that balance between securing the Capitol and keeping it accessible for people to express their First Amendment rights.
We want people there, but at the same time, we have to make sure that we are protecting the people that are working there. If you haven't had some common sense guidelines down, who's the next person that could be there to hurt somebody?
In St. Paul, Jason Rantala, WCCO News.
The State Patrol says it is investigating how the man got in after public hours, but they say that he did not break in. The man who has not been charged is in the Ramsey County Jail. Well, the highly publicized Real ID deadline has passed, but the system is still stuck. And for thousands of Minnesotans, the wait, it is far from over. We've learned these delays are dragging past 90 days, 3 months. State officials say they understand your frustration, and they say the reason for that delay, it is simple. Too many applications and simply not enough help. In April, more than 100,000 applications were submitted. In May, 76,000. Here's the problem. There are only 24 workers statewide handling all those applications. And for people who did what they were told before the deadline, they feel like the system failed them.
If this is the direction they're going for IDs just going forward, it seems, I don't know, they need to kind of get the process down a little faster.
Real ID remains a federal requirement to fly and access secure buildings. If you do not have one or your passport, you could face extra security checks before your next flight.
Coming up, a Hall of Famer from St. Paul is going back to his roots. Then the Twins tangled with Washington, how a pair of locals trounced their hometown team.
Plus, the Lynx facing an unfamiliar feeling at home. How the Atlanta Dream gave Minnesota bad dreams. Sports is next.
biggest names ever in Minnesota baseball still maintains his connection to his hometown, despite a career that took him all the way to Cooperstown. So in this week's home team, Mike Max tells us how a Hall of Famer is still giving back.
Me, it was like, how hard can I hit the ball?
He draws a crowd. On this day, Dave Winfield is back on his home turf, now known as Tony Stone Field, where he and his brother grew into stars.
My high school is right behind us. I live 3 blocks from here.
One of the people he inspired, who grew into a Hall of Famer in St. Paul as well, is here to pay tribute.
Yeah, and you know, he was a guy, he was a multi-sport athlete like I was.
You.
And like I said, he kind of paved that path for a lot of kids, myself included, that you can play multi-sports and do well at them.
And there's history that goes back even further. This day is done in conjunction with Rondo Days in St. Paul, recognizing a time in Winfield's youth when they built Highway 94 through that neighborhood, displacing 650 families.
It's about Mom, Arlene. It's about their mother. I feel her. It's about her sons. Today's everything that she poured into them is about her spirit.
Winfield is reflective at this event. Not lost on him what happened during that time in history.
People may not have known what was happening at the time. Rondo was a bustling community, if you will, primarily African American, but it kind of separated the community. You know, one side and half of the community on one side, half on the other. So it kind of changed the dynamics, probably the way I know the way people did business, where they could live.
It is that sense of history that is part of why he comes back to St. Paul. It is not his current home. It is to his brother Steve and sister-in-law Robin. Today it intersects Dave Winfield, kicking off Rondo Days in 2025. Yeah, because it all connects, doesn't it?
It all connects, you know, with Billy Peterson being here and Arlene's sons.
The kid who grew up here before his Hall of Fame career does not want to forget what was.
And I think it did maybe irreparable damage to this Rondo community.
Do you remember a lot of
lived the block.
conversations about those kinds of things back when you were growing up?
Yeah, we wondered, was there something more insidious behind this?
Yeah. That's part of why Winfield has committed to the community through the Winfield Foundation. He started awarding scholarships 49 years ago to St. Paul kids for college. On this day, he is surprised by a recipient.
I stand here not only as a proud recipient who went to college on a Dave Winfield scholarship, but I stand here as the parent of a recipient who went to college with the funding of a Dave Winfield scholarship.
They will erect a statue of him next year, right here. And there is a crew that has been following him for 2 years to create a documentary of his remarkable life that has taken him many places, but always ends up back here, where it all started.
I'll always be a part of St. Paul. I appreciate everybody. Love you. God bless everybody.
Mike Max reporting there. We appreciate you, Dave Winfield. Next spring, they plan to unveil a Dave Winfield statue at his high school ballpark in St. Paul. So this weekend, the Minnesota Twins took part in an arguably more important endeavor than baseball. They collected some autographs. Yep, that's right. A bunch of kids from Gillette Children's Hospital were at Target Field, and the Twins roster brought their memorabilia to be signed, a reverse signing event, if you will.
Really just puts it in perspective. You know, these kids are working very hard day in and day out, and they're just trying to stay afloat. And you know, a lot of them have smiles on their faces, and it you know, really it puts things in perspective for a lot of us playing the game. But we just want to make them happy, and you know, it's great to be a part of the community and do things like this. And I wish it was my idea, but I'm just glad to be a part of it.
You were right, Brooks Lee. They are some amazing kids out there. Let's check in with Ren Clayton with a look at what's coming up in sports.
Good morning. Well, it was another series loss for the Minnesota Twins this weekend, hosting the Washington Nationals yesterday, losing 7-2. Jake Irvin, the starting pitcher for the Nationals from Bloomington Jefferson High School, pitched a strong 7 innings, just allowing those 2 runs on just 5 hits and 2 strikeouts. The Twins are now just a few days away from the trade deadline, where they will be sellers. This roster will look different in about 1 week. The Lynx had their home winning streak snapped. A 14-game home winning streak ended yesterday at Target Center. They lost 90-86. The Lynx now go back out on the road. At the 3M Open up in Blaine, just avoided the storms. No delays all week, besides before the tournament actually started on Wednesday, and it wrapped up yesterday with Kurt Kitayama taking home the win after a blazing start. Birdied 6 of his first 8 holes in yesterday's final round on the way to a victory, his second PGA Tour win at 23 under par. And today at Vikings training camp in Eagan, it is a landmark moment every year. It's the first day of pads, just a couple weeks away from the first preseason game for the Minnesota Vikings. Here in the newsroom, Ren Clayton, WCCO Sports.
We'll be right back with more Headlines Plus. Joseph will have your next weather forecast coming up.
You're watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maria Lizignoli. Joseph Daines will have your next weather forecast in just a minute. But first, it's official. I-394 down a lane. Easy pass lanes are closed in both directions between Minneapolis and Highway 100 in Golden Valley. It's expected to last through November. And today is the end of price matching at Target. The policy let customers get a refund for the price difference of a product if they found it cheaper on Amazon, Walmart, or at a Target within 14 days of purchase. Now, the price match will only be valid if customers find an item for a cheaper price at a Target's store or website. Let's take a look at your next drive right now. Some slowdowns because of, yes, construction here in the metro, but nothing to really alert you about. If we do take a live look over at 212 and Eden Prairie Center Drive, you can see that traffic is just because of construction there on 212, and that project also expected to last into the fall. Well, let's check out now our next weather forecast, where we're starting with a really hot day, Joseph.
Yeah, we sure are. I mean, we're also coming off of the stormy weather from the weekend, so very busy finish to the weekend. And we also have a chance for maybe some severe weather later today. Right now, we are in the clear. There's nothing going on, clear skies. The heat is only going to pick up as we go through the day. But I do have a green tower because I am anticipating some action later tonight. Now, not going to happen by noon, not going to happen afternoon, and probably not going to be a problem as we head into the early evening, though things may change from about 6 p.m. and beyond. So for now, we have an next possible alert, but I have high confidence that we'll probably shift over to an alert later today because of that severe storm threat tonight. Break it all down coming up at 8:30 at CBS News Minnesota. See you there.
You're watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Next on WCCO Mornings, Minnesotans left powerless. We're tracking the impacts of severe weekend storms and the chances of when more rain can arrive. Then, an explosion at a marina in Wisconsin this weekend. They're warning to boaters. Plus, remembering a Minnesota lawmaker, the legacy of State Senator Bruce Anderson. And trade war avoided? We'll break down the details of the U.S. agreement with the European Union. Good morning. Welcome to WCCO Mornings, streaming live on CBS News Minnesota. I'm Maria Lizignoli. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's get to your top headlines this morning. Today, Minnesota lawmakers will come together to celebrate the life of one of their own. State Senator Bruce Anderson died unexpectedly 1 week ago. At age 75, Anderson had given a lot to his country and community. He was a Navy veteran who served during the Vietnam War and went on to serve 30 years in the legislature. His funeral service is today at 3 p.m. in Buffalo. You can watch a live stream at buffalocov.org. Now to this dramatic scene on the water. A boat explodes at a marina in Pierce County, Wisconsin. According to officials, several people went to the hospital. Investigators also sharing with us the explosion happened at a fuel dock. As WCCO Jonah Kaplan explains, the incident is a reminder about one critical responsibility for boat drive operators.
The harbor sits right where the St. Croix and Mississippi rivers meet, and it was packed on this sunny summer Saturday. Steve Schiller said the explosion sounded like gunfire. This is video he took from a few hundred yards away.
We were sitting on the back of the boat and heard a loud bang, looked over, and next thing you know, the boat's smoldering and people are jumping off the back of the boat, and all of a sudden, within 5 minutes, it turned into big flames.
According to investigators, the explosion may have ejected some people off the boat, while others swam to the dock. Police said multiple individuals were taken to the hospital, some by ambulance, others in their own cars.
You just pray for the people and hope everything's okay. We're all boaters, and we all want everybody to be the best.
To give you a little perspective, this here is about a 30-foot boat, and witnesses tell us the one that was on fire, it was actually bigger than this. And as frightening as the situation as it was, it could have been so much worse if not for the quick thinking of one of the marina managers.
Got her sprayed down and stopped that one from bursting in flames.
Colton Anderson, who runs Leo's Landing, jumped in his boat to push the smoldering vessel away from all the others.
The other boat that's down there, it melted the canvas. It was getting ready to burn the other boat. Then another boat would have burned that wasn't part of it. So that's what we were really trying to save, and the dock was on fire too.
The cause of the blast is still under investigation, but Anderson warned the incident is a critical reminder for boat operators to always run the blowers before starting the engine.
Blower takes the gas fumes out of the bilge, so when you got the blowers on, it's supposed to let the fumes out. But if you have like a leaking fuel system or something wrong and you got a spark and you hit the key and it's hot, you can have an ignition source and then bam.
In Prescott, Jonah Kaplan, WCCO News.
Scary video to see there. Now, as of last night, officials said they were unsure of the conditions of those taken to the hospital. Right now, the Wisconsin DNR is leading the investigation. Developing this morning in Michigan, at least 11 people were treated at a hospital after a mass stabbing incident Saturday at a Walmart in Traverse City. The Grand Traverse County Sheriff's Office says it appears the victims were attacked at random. One suspect is in custody and was not injured. Law enforcement says they have the knife they believe was used in the attacks, and it's a folding knife. No word on a possible motive. As of this morning, hospital officials say 4 patients remain in serious condition, and the other 7 are now considered in fair condition. It's been nearly a month of healing for Texas since the devastating July 4th flood. Now, victims are getting help from a celebrity. Texas native and country singer George Strait held a benefit concert yesterday to help those impacted. In a social media post, Strait said the goal of the concert is to raise meaningful, immediate support that can be put directly into the hands of flood victims. He said the show will also honor those first responders who worked tirelessly to save lives. President Trump announced a trade deal with the European Union while visiting Scotland. CBS News' Bradley Blackburn tells us how the agreement avoids a trade war with the U.S.'s largest trading partner.
We've reached a deal.
In a down-to-the-wire negotiation, President Donald Trump announced a new trade agreement with the EU, setting a 15% tariff on most European imports.
I think this deal will bring us very close together, actually. Sort of, it's a partnership in a sense.
The new rate is lower than the 30% tariff that was set to take effect Friday, but far higher than rates before Trump took office. The president announced the deal at his Turnberry Golf Resort in Scotland, where he was joined by the president of the EU.
It's a huge deal. It will bring stability. It will bring predictability. That's very important for our businesses on both sides of the Atlantic.
The EU has also agreed to purchase U.S. military equipment, as well as $750 billion of U.S. energy, and to invest $600 billion in other sectors.
We have the opening up of all of the European countries.
Although the deal was framed as a victory for the U.S., it could still raise prices for consumers. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Here in Minnesota, it was a stormy night for a lot of people. Many are facing a big cleanup today, waking up to downed branches and downed trees. Here's a look at last night's powerful storm as it blew through Minneapolis. Our photojournalist Nick Boki grabbed his time lapse from our rooftop. And this is between 7:50 and 9 p.m. Wind gusts at that time reaching nearly 55 miles per hour. Tanner Talbot sending us this video, shot from inside a car under a bridge near Carlson Parkway. We saw cars pulling under bridges to shelter from hail during the storms. Now, it is not advised to do this. The safest action is to try and get off the road. A much different look this morning. Blue skies, cloudless here in downtown Minneapolis, but that next weather tower is green. Let's check in with next weather meteorologist Joseph Dames to see where that's going to take us.
Yeah, that's going to take us probably back to some storms later today, Maria. Now, this morning we're good. I mean, it is clear. Not a lot going on this morning. It's very, very quiet. The storm threats and the storms that we went through and battled yesterday evening now down to the south and southeast, and those have fizzled as far as intensity. But we're good for now. And I don't want you to be confused about the forecast today. You don't have much to worry about through the morning into the afternoon. In fact, you have absolutely nothing to worry about other than the heat that's going to be increasing. The storm threat is more so going to be tonight. Let's talk about our storm details. We will have heat before the storms. I just mentioned that. I think we're back to 90. It's going to be feeling maybe even a little bit warmer than that down south. Okay, I have confidence that storms will start forming at late afternoon into the evening hours out west. And then they'll probably move through tonight, 9 p.m. or so and beyond. Now, some weather models have it a little bit earlier, so we'll be watching that heading into this evening. And then all threats are possible, meaning we could see damaging wind, hail, flooding, even some rotation, a lot of lightning. Everything, all right, is possible tonight. We also have potential for just severe storms. I have high confidence we'll see severe weather probably out west, and we'll likely see some severe thunderstorm warnings potentially heading into the metro area heading into tonight. It's also potential for maybe some widespread wind where we could see wind damage across a good chunk of the state and for maybe a long extension of the state. And then there's possibilities for, storm damage happening after the sun sets, which makes things very dangerous as well. So you just have to be ready for that for today. How does it all work out? The severe weather outlook for tonight. We do have a 4 or 5 risk out towards Marshall there. In fact, it's even been increased out to the east a little bit more. 3 of 5 enhanced risk approaching some of our western counties here near the metro area. 2 of 5 slight risk, 1 of 5 out towards the east. Very sharp gradient. Storms fire up to the west, will be the strongest there, and then they'll cruise down to the east as we go through the day. So for now, I'm going with the next possible alert for severe storm threat tonight. High confidence that we're going to go with the next weather alert here as we work through the morning into the afternoon. I just don't want you to be thinking that this afternoon is going to be the busy time. It's going to be more so tonight. Wind damage is my greatest threat for these storms, okay? In fact, I want to show you a severe weather chance tonight. Here's the hail look. Here's the wind look. Anything with the line is where we could see some significant damage there and a higher probability also of getting wind damage. And then you can see our tornado threat is on the lower side, but it's there. So even some rotation in some of these storms or tornadoes embedded into a line of storms tonight. It's going to be busy. Let's go through the forecast. As I mentioned, this morning into the afternoon, you're in the clear. Temperatures building about 90 degrees. We're this close this close to breaking the weather pattern. All right, it's been hot, it's been humid, it has been very active. We've had storms. The next day or two, we'll finally start to see things slow down a little bit. All right, here's 6-7 p.m. Storms firing about west. Any of these could be very strong, even severe. You'll see more of a line of storms developing, though, late tonight, passing through the cities as we go into, again, 9, 10, 11, maybe to midnight, carrying through the state down to the southeast as we go into the overnight hours. Now, this could shift an hour or two. We may have some adjustments throughout the day, so that's going to be our job to get you ready for that. Just have some backup plans if you're doing some things this evening. Tuesday should be cooler in the 80s, though still a little humid with a small threat for some storms. I don't really see us cooling down and losing any storm threats until probably Wednesday or so. Potential rainfall the next 48 hours. Again, some heavy rains down to the south and southwest with less rain totals probably up north. So I think, yeah, again, a bulk of the action is going to be around the 94 corridor southwest. 90 today, Maria, 84 Tuesday, 80 on Wednesday, and then beautiful weather, just a stretch of wonderful weather as we head towards the weekend with temperatures floating right around 80 degrees.
And as we head into August. All right, thank you, Joseph. Let's check out your next drive now. As you can see, 2 incidents here on the traffic maps. What we know about those is that they are traffic backups, so no crashes or incidents to really tell you about. Just a little bit of a slowdown here in the metro. A lot of construction going on for sure. All right, it's been nearly 3 years since crews knocked down these giant domes along the Mississippi riverfront in Minneapolis. And rising from these ashes soon, a new amphitheater. Photojournalist Tony Peterson shares why city leaders say the impact will go well beyond the walls of the venue.
The north side has been cut off from the riverfront for generations.
For far too long, this community has been underserved and faced disinvestment.
This was largely 40 acres worth of formerly industrial, but then largely vacant land.
This morning, the council took a really big vote and we got unanimous support.
Every final hurdle has happened to make sure that the North Side Community Performing Arts Center will take shape right on this land behind us.
I was born and raised in North Minneapolis, so when I see investments like this and other investments, it's important because I want individuals to be able to come and experience North Minneapolis. And so this is what I would consider a destination opportunity.
We've been working on it with a whole lot of partners for the better part of a decade.
The state of Minnesota invested over $25 million into this project, not just the Performance Arts Center, but the public infrastructure that all of us were standing on today.
The goal is to make sure that the communities that have made the North Side wonderful to begin with get to stay when great things happen.
And it shows that North Side residents matter and deserve the same investment and other opportunities as other parts of this city.
It was our intent to make sure that this part of the river was accessible to the North Side and African American, foundational Black American people.
All right, everybody, we're going to head right over here and sign this thing. Community Performing Arts Center is happening, everybody.
The amphitheater is part of the Upper Harbor redevelopment plan, and the next stages include affordable housing, a wellness hub, and more. Minnesotans will need to be weather aware of dangerous heat and strong storms later tonight. Joseph Dames will have your full weather forecast coming up. Then beating the heat, how you can escape the rising temperatures in the Twin Cities today. That's all next. Stay with us. it's official. I-394 is down a lane. Easy pass lanes are closed in both directions between downtown Minneapolis and Highway 100 in Golden Valley. It's expected to last through November. WCCO's Marielle Mose checked in with commuters.
It's actually terrible for people who just to commute. It's already bad and really rush hour.
Drivers are frustrated with another big interstate closure that will impact a lot of people commuting between St. Louis Park and downtown on 394, like Jamal Olben.
I use it a lot, really when the 169 is packed, so I use it for a diversion to get over to 94. And if it's going to be I'll be impacted really bad trying to get home.
Usually these major closures happen in the overnight hours when fewer people are on the roads, but not this time. This closure of the Easy Pass lanes in both directions will be enforced at all hours of the day until November.
Oh, no, that's no good. No good.
MnDOT says this is all part of a larger 2-year plan to repair 34 bridges between Interstates 394 and 94. And they also say during the next 4 months, keep in mind there will be some overnight lane closures on this stretch as well. If it feels like a lot, it's because it is. MnDOT currently has 46 construction projects happening in the Twin Cities metro right now, including this one.
From our house to get to St. Paul, I allow about 3.5 hours, depending on the time of the day.
Jeff Zuckerman lives in Bryn Mawr off the Penn Avenue exit in the heart of this closure.
Yeah, we're kind of screwed.
Drivers will certainly have to pack more patience on the roads until the snow flies again.
You just got to deal with it. I mean, whatever. Presumably, they're doing it to fix the roads for another 5 or 10 years, and they can't do any work in the winter, so.
In St. Louis Park.
There's nothing I can do about it, so, you know, my patience tested every day. It's the heat right now testing my patience. So.
Marielle Mose, WCCO News.
Amen. And this unbearable heat we saw over the weekend, it's continuing today. With the heat advisory, you're probably looking for any way to escape the stickiness. Yesterday, we saw Twin Cities families flocking to beaches and pools. But if you need any other places to escape the heat, we do have links to cooling center locations at WCCO.com. And here's a live look outside downtown Minneapolis. As you can see, bright blue skies this morning. It's hot, but that next weather tower is green, meaning rain, more rain is on the way. Let's check in now with next weather meteorologist Joseph Dames.
Well, good morning to everyone and happy Monday. We had a stormy finish to the weekend, but everything is good as we kind of kick off our Monday and get into the afternoon. I'll say this, it's going to be hot and it's going to be humid, and then prepare for the chance for strong to severe weather late tonight. You can see these pillars here as we go into late hours. I think we can see some strong storms developing anywhere from about 9 to 10 p.m. That's probably the next possible alert for tonight.
As always, we'll continue to keep you up to date on the latest news and weather developments all day long right here on the stream. But first, today is the end of price matching at Target. The policy let customers get a refund for the price difference of a product if they find it cheaper on Amazon, Walmart, or at a different Target. And that's all within 14 days of purchase. But now, the price match will only be valid if customers find an item for a cheaper price at Target's stores or websites. Coming up on Mid-Morning at 9, a popular pizza place is back. We're heading into the CCO kitchen to check out the return of Pig Ate My Pizza. Yum, now I want some pizza. Thanks for joining us here on the stream. We'll be back with more headlines after a quick break.